Hello, Stan. Hello, Will.
Good morning, all. Nice to see everybody here.
Good morning, David.
Good morning, all.
Oh, Leslie Palms is here.
As they were last week.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah, well,
Hi.
I hope someone shows up today.
Good morning,
Yeah.
Rowena.
Good morning.
yeah, we'll use that as our overflow room.
Yeah. So I updated our description on our weekly, and then I did put the meeting ID and the passcode, so that way if they want to do it at their own home as well, they can do that. And then I updated the description of what Hank provided, so hopefully they'll answer their questions and be able to join. But thank you so much for having this.
Well, thank you so much for hosting us. I
course.
appreciate that service
You're so welcome. Thank you.
and the publicity.
Yes, thank you.
You know, we haven't heard from Sammy Olnick recently. Is she okay? Do you know
Yeah.
Sammy?
I saw her yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered,
maybe-
she hasn't shown up for a few weeks and
Oh, okay.
we're concerned.
Maybe now that it's updated, with the maybe some of them are, don't want to do the email thing, but now that I have the meeting ID and the passcode, this is for next week. For this week, we don't have that information, but I updated it for next week's schedule. So hopefully that will change.
Okay,
Hank,
thank you.
Or does the passcode change from week to week, or is it pretty much the same?
Thank you.
Okay.
Have
Thank
a
you.
beautiful Saturday. That's funny. Should I put it on mute for now?
We can mute it when we
Okay.
need to.
Okay, thank you.
If the Fox wants to allow me to be a co-host, he's welcome to do so.
I see, is it Bob Fry that we?
Bob
see?
Freed.
Bob Free? Glad to see you. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, I used to be a member, but I moved away from that area, moving around. And, but I do have one question. I think it's useful. I don't know. Do you have a set schedule right now? Should I-
Every Saturday at 10:30 AM.
Beg your pardon?
Every Saturday at 10:30 AM, we have a meeting. Whether it's a board meeting or general session with Q&A or special program.
But today is the
Anytime,
second
same place.
Saturday. Today is the second Saturday of the month, and that is always a board meeting first, and then questions and answers.
However, if you have a quick question, you may not have to sit through the board meeting.
Okay,
have a
but
quick
question
question?
is, that I've been looking at the, it's kind of important thing because my hearing is not as good as it used to be. That whatever I'm looking at out of the internet or any presentation on the internet, and a speaker is speaking, and I like to see that in the written so that I can read it, so I don't have to hear everything. So, and that I think is a very important thing for some, if not all, so that in translation is not perfect, of course, but as long as you are in the you understand what's going on in the meeting, then you can interpret what's going on.
Bob,
Yes.
we do have closed captioning, and you're welcome to use it within Zoom. There is a button that should say show captions, and if you click on that, you will get a little window that you can drag around and place wherever you want it on your screen.
But that works in a Zoom session. Are you talking about just Zoom sessions or other?
I think he's
Anything
talking about
out of the
our meetings, Will.
Anything that I like to have it written, and I so that in a format that I can just print it.
Well,
But you're not talking just about Zoom sessions. You're talking about other sessions too?
yes, he is
Anything.
talking about other sessions. And Bob, if you're watching a YouTube video,
Yes,
there is, which I gather you do a lot, you
yes.
look down at the bottom and there's usually a box that says CC. And if you click that box, it will take the sound that goes with the YouTube video and turn it into text.
I see. Okay, let me try that. All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And Bob, if you do hang around afterwards, I'm sure that one of us can give you a small demonstration of what that looks like.
Well, that's okay. I will, I
And you
come back.
should be
Thank you very
seeing,
much.
you should be seeing closed captioning right now down on the bottom of your screen. Everybody
All
else,
right.
that
If
No.
he has pressed the show captions button in Zoom.
And also note that if the closed captions is obscuring something, you can pick up that box and move it around your screen.
I see. All right,
And
thank you
Bob,
very
you're
much.
welcome to
Let me-
come
let
on to
me
our Zoom
Double
sessions
check it. Yeah,
whenever you would like also. As they said earlier, we hold it every Saturday morning at 10:30.
Okay, I'm gonna declare the board meeting open. Bob is welcome and all our other guests are welcome. We recommend that you mute. You are welcome to interrupt if it's pertinent to the discussion, if you have something to contribute. But we do try to run it as a board meeting by being recognized before you speak.
and
And I
excuse me, Stan,
hope
I'm
you
gonna
will all
mute.
stay around until after the board meeting for Q&A, which will be a general Q&A question today. We don't have any additional program. So I'm going to declare the board meeting open and ask if there are any agenda changes that anyone would like to submit for changes to the agenda.
I am going to ask, or I'm going to mute everybody, which will include you, Stan, for a minute. So unmute yourself, please, when I do.
Okay,
Okay, everybody's muted now, so go ahead, Stan. There.
thank you. All right, moving forward. The minutes have been submitted. And there was a minor change, well, maybe not a minor change, but anyway, a change submitted. And I'll let David address the minutes.
Yes, we put out the minutes initially and that was distributed. Willie noticed that I had misspoken at one point and I corrected that. And then we redistributed the minutes. So the minutes that we are looking at are the second distribution. And I did go and check the website this morning. The website still has the first edition. So if Hank Stanley could update the version that is on the website, please.
I move that we
Okay.
accept the minutes as presented.
Second,
As revised.
As revised, thank you.
So,
Second.
I'll second if nobody else has already done so.
okay. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes as revised. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Before we go on, Stan, I just want to mention to David that I did submit changes in time for the January ones, but they didn't ever get incorporated. So just keep an eye out for emails on the minutes, David.
thank you very much. Occasionally spam filters are not our friend.
All right, I don't have anything, but it seems to me things are, yes, Miriam?
I sent, after I got the adjusted minutes, which was the first set that I actually saw, and I had a minor nit to pick, but I don't think anybody else was bothered by it, so I'm okay with the minutes having been passed. But I did not get the first set.
Okay, yes, there was a delay in getting the first one out. And Willie noticed it, yeah, all right, thank you, Miriam. Anyway, I don't have anything new. I think we're working well under the new normal. So we'll proceed with the VP administration report. Will, do you have anything to comment on?
Nothing at this time.
What about the status of the PO, mailbox key, and notification of new mail? You said you were going to look into that.
Yes, I did. And it turned out that our PO box had been closed. I never got a notification of that, but we kept getting, in fact, they said it was closed last September, but I kept getting mail, and only within the last couple of weeks did I go there and they indicated that the box had been closed. So I did renew it for 1 year. However, it upset me that they had not notified me that the box had been closed, and actually they had returned at least one letter. So, but that has been changed and I did receive that letter. So everything is fine now. And I set it up that we should be notified whenever new mail comes in. I have not received any notification yet. So hopefully that will work. Saul?
Will, this is Hank. I forwarded you the email from the lady who had her dues returned because of the box being closed, and that's the way you found out about it, I think.
Yeah, there were two. In fact, there were 2 letters that were returned, and those have been sent, and I did receive them.
So they have sent back again, and
Yes,
you have the membership renewals.
correct.
All right.
Thank you.
Saul has hand up.
Just a couple questions. One, whose name is the mailbox in, the PO box in?
It's in my name.
Instead of AppSugs? I mean,
Correct.
I'm sorry, instead of SCGs? I'm sorry.
Well, they
I was
need
looking at Hank's.
they need a contact.
Yeah, I know
person.
they need a person, but I'm just saying normally you can put it in the name of an organization and you can set up an online account for PO boxes with the US Postal Service. And it doesn't give you a whole lot of information, but it does at least tell you when the renewal is due. And another nonprofit I work with that has a PO box, they say that the post office always includes a postcard renewal notice in the PO box. So the fact that you didn't see that is a question.
Yeah, no, it is in the name of San Diego Computer Society. I am just the contact person.
I understand they need a
Yeah.
human being.
No, I did not
Mary,
receive any sort of notification, and that was a problem.
Okay, Miriam has her hand up.
Yeah, Will send a notice to me about the mailbox and being reimbursed, but he also said he got a second key. So we're gonna have to talk about who should have that second key since the box is in Pacific Beach.
Well, let's talk about it now.
That's on the
Okay.
agenda for right now. It says a mailbox key.
Is there anyone who would volunteer to be the second mailbox checker if anything, if I step in front of a bus?
Well, since I'm the one who is most interested in the mail that comes in when the checks come, I guess I should volunteer to do that.
Okay, I'll get a key to you.
Okay. I'm not sure if you should try to mail that, or whether we should try to get together, but we can do that offline.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
when will you,
thank you for accepting that responsibility, Miriam, to back up Will on the postal box.
Miriam, when will you be in town? Are you in
Huh?
town now? Are you in town now?
I am, yes, I am here until the middle of May, but then you're right. For the months of May through mid-October, I'm not here. So maybe I am not the best person to have the extra key.
Well, if it's an extra key, and I'm generally in the area, I understand. Where was the PO box? Is it in Pacific Beach?
It's in Pacific Beach on Cass Street.
Okay, so I'm geographically more stable than Miriam, and I will accept that. Well, we can arrange to get together sometime. I get out of the house, I drive, I could come over sometime, we'll have lunch. Or have a little get together, and I'll get the key from you.
Okay.
That's a better
We'll
arrangement.
talk about it after the meeting, so.
And not to delay this too much, but in case anybody else wants to be a recognized individual on that PO box with the US Postal Service, it is just about takes an act of Congress to get you added. But if you think that's a good idea, you will have to work with Will and the post office to get that done.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that experience, so. I know you have a
Well,
lot of experience dealing with that.
That's a good
Okay.
point, because I'm the only contactee on the on record. So it would be good to have a second person on record to be notified.
Yeah. A key
Well, I'm
is-
willing to be that person for the time being. David, you seem to have a question?
Oh, well, first of all, I was going to ask about the key, and the other thing is, do we need to make any motions for this to be effective?
No,
If it's in the minutes, I don't think so, but I don't think it requires a motion. But I do want to be sure that it's in the minutes that Stanley will accept the backup key.
I have been scribbling as you've been talking.
All right. Moving forward, public relations, Willie.
Yeah, well, last time we talked, I said I was going to reach out to Mary Burns with the San Diego Community College District, and she has posted our brochure on her website. I can include that link if anybody wants it in the chat. I'm just put it in there right now, which goes directly to the advertisement for us. And also through Hank, we made contact with a woman named Ari Rojas from the outreach. She's the outreach coordinator for Grossmont Healthcare District in La Mesa, and they have a health library that they maintain on site there. And she was asking Hank if there was a chance of having meetings there or using their facility for meetings. And I'll let Hank talk to that later. But she did get one of the brochures and said that she would post it in her library at this point. There has not been any firm arrangements made to show up there, but she said, yeah, we'd be welcome there to give a presentation on our organization if that was appropriate.
Would you be comfortable doing that, Willie?
Well, I'm not really that mobile, but I could probably do it. I have not made any arrangements yet to get out there. I know where it is. I've been out there before in that area, so I could do it. If there's anybody else that's more interested in public speaking, that'd be more comfortable, I wouldn't mind passing that off to somebody else, but I can do it.
I was wondering, Willie, if someone's out there, if they have, a TV screen that we could hook up to, we could, as a example of what we do, host, you could be, join the meeting, just like they have from Wesley Palms, for an example, so they can see what goes on.
Yeah, I can look into that. Unless Hank, unless you heard any more information about their facility, I don't know if they have any audio video room. She did say they have meeting rooms.
What area is this in?
Excuse me?
What area is it in?
La Mesa,
Oh,
Grossmont
thank you.
area.
I think it's right next to the Grossmont Shopping Center.
Yes.
Okay.
Stan, could I just,
Yes, Saul.
I appreciate Willie putting the link in the chat, but could he also just email it to the board?
Certainly.
Yeah, good idea. Thank you. All right, back to Hank.
For
Programs report.
yes. I would like to ask all the board members to go find my list of YouTube videos. The easy way to do that is to go to our website and then click on resources. And the top thing in resources is my list of YouTube videos. I would really appreciate your indulgence in looking at that list and try to pick each one of you, each board member, please pick an item that you think is interesting. And if some of them are close to the top of the page, it means I made them a long time ago. And if you will tell me what you find there that's interesting, I will take on the task of remaking those videos using Windows 10, because some of them go all the way back to demonstrating how it's done on XP.
Okay, duly noted. I will try to look at that. Are you particularly interested in us looking at the older ones to see which need to be updated?
No,
Is that your primary purpose?
no, the primary purpose is to find out what subjects you think are really interesting and will drag in the most number of viewers. And if I find that some of those are old, I'll newer them. But
Thank you.
the goal is
All
to
right,
find
thank
out
you.
what you guys think is most interesting. Of course, I'm always looking for new subjects. I put that in the invitation each week. It says, if you have a subject that you would like covered during one of these meetings, please email me in response to the invitation, and I'll do my best to either find one that already exists or make one.
Okay,
Ray Schlater is trying to show us something.
Hold on.
is he really, or is he just reading the paper?
He's showing us something.
Maybe he's just hiding. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Ray, do you
Stan's
want to
correct.
Comment on anything?
There we
Let's move forward. Treasurer's report, Miriam. Miriam,
First, let me apologize for any loud noises you hear. I am redoing my downstairs bathroom and there's a workman down there working and 2 more might show up and make noise too. So you'll just have to forgive me. In February, we received annual dues from 11 members for a total of $165. We paid PayPal fees of $3.16. Our total income was $161.84. At the beginning of the month, we had $5,027.99. At the end of the month, we have $5,189.83. And I sent the end of the month statements for people to look at if they want to. I sent an email with our January minutes attached to the person at our bank who wanted them as proof that she should remove Ray Schlater as a signatory to the checking account. I wrote that I have not heard from her, but in fact, I have heard from her and she's pursuing it. She's not at the La Mesa branch and she has to now shift this over. I'm hoping to the Rosalie at the La Mesa branch, and we'll try to get it finished. On another note, I've started looking at what the work is to do the 501c3 renewals. I hope I have enough paperwork here that I'll figure it out again. Respectfully submitted, Miriam Davis.
Miriam,
thank you very much. Do we have a second?
I move we
Wait.
accept. I move we
David
accept
has a
the.
question.
Well, Miriam, I was just wondering, when do you think you'll be ready to do the 501c3 renewal?
Oh, I'm going to start working on it today, tomorrow. I mean, I got a notice from one organization. The other organization's much later, and it may be every other year. But this one I have to do, and I dug out all the paperwork. It's just I've been stalling because it isn't fun.
We look forward to hearing from you next month.
Yes, yeah, I will have it done by next month. The deadline is May 15th. I looked that up.
Okay, David, may I ask if you have the motion in hand and you have the financial report to include in your records?
Yeah, I have the, what Miriam had submitted. I have those. And so at this point, we are entertaining a motion to accept.
I so move.
Seconded.
Been
I
moved
call-
and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? All abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Miriam. Appreciate that extra work. Committee report. Membership. Will has submitted a membership report, which I have printed out. I hope some of you have or have it available.
If I can share screen, I will show it.
You should be able to share screen.
That is correct.
Hank, do you have a comment while we're getting his screen shared?
No, I'll wait until Will's done.
Okay,
Okay, can everyone see this report?
very nice, thank you.
Okay, so actively right now, as of the end of February, we had 36 active members.
And that adds up. That's right.
And 2 new members in the total column, and 24 have renewed. There are 10 life members. We dropped 9 last year members as of the 1st of March or the end of February. Actually, we have 2 more members that showed up in March, so they will show up next time. So actually, the active members would be 38 as opposed to 36. But it was suggested last month that we only do it by months and not by the report days or the board meeting days. So it doesn't show the actual numbers. I have to tell you about those later. So any questions about this?
Yeah,
So these are accurate as of the end of February, is what you're saying? Mhm.
I'm
For
still a
all the
little
people
confused
who-
about it. I understand in your comment below, it says 9 dropped for non-renewal. And that was the rationale for the total of 36 active. I would suggest that you use that column F for the number that dropped, and go down to row 10G and put the total number of members from
I was-
the column. I guess that's our total number of members, which looks like, I don't know, I have to add up those numbers, but I would like to see if you're going to modify the numbers by names, it's 9 dropped, that be part of the calculation, and also include G10 at the bottom down there, the total number of our members. Is that feasible?
I'm sorry, I did not understand what you're asking.
Okay.
Stan, can I give this a shot?
Yes, please.
I think Stan just wants the row 5 moved down below the row 8. He likes the total at the bottom, and frankly, so do I.
Okay, I was thinking that the major thing people are interested in is how many active members we have. So that's why I put it at the top.
Well, why aren't we interested? Oh, all right, whatever. If
Well, I can move it to the
board's
bottom if that's what
satisfied
people
with this
want.
report, I'm satisfied.
If people want it at the bottom, I can move it to the bottom. That's not a problem. I just thought,
But 30, I understand that 36 is a total of, that's a combination of 2 and 24 and 10. And then dropped. Oh, okay, it's dropped as 9. I got so 9. All right, yeah.
it's really 45 minus 9. Right, Will?
Yeah, it's
Correct.
36, right.
yes,
All
that's
right.
correct.
All right, I understand. My apologies. I'm just not clever enough.
May I comment now? This is Hank. You can't see
Sure.
my hand, but I will need a list of who was of who is now active and who was dropped. And
Okay,
I'll tell you all why. I'm not asking for your approval. This is what I've been doing for a long time, and I'm going to keep doing it under, you know, it would take something rather large to move me away from this position, but we have had for years the official position, and it's buried in the minutes somewhere, that we said we would do this. We would add anyone who wanted to come to these meetings on Zoom, whether or not they joined the seniors computer group and paid dues. We encourage them to pay dues, but we don't require it, and we keep anyone that we put on that added list. What I am going to do when Will gives me the new list of active members is remove them from this. Let me start over again. I mail out the invitation to these meetings in 2 sets. One is the seniors computer group members, and the other is those who have not become a seniors computer group member, but have asked to be here. And those lists are pretty close to being equal. They're both large. Those who have dropped out, I'm going to drop from the seniors computer group list, and I'm not going to put them on the we send it, they can come to the meeting anytime they want list by sending out invitations. Because I think if they've dropped, they should not have the courtesy of continuing to be invited to these meetings. So that's why I need those lists of email addresses and the names that go with them. Will, can you do that for me?
Yeah, I can do, I made a note. I'll do that.
Thank you. And one other thing, which has just now escaped me.
I would like to see a reminder also.
Oh, yes. That was my other question. Have the 9 been individually contacted and said, you've been dropped or you're being dropped because you have not renewed?
Yes,
You
they have.
want to do that?
They have been notified. And we did have one person who renewed.
Okay. How did you?
Now, I would like to ask something else. As you see where it says month, January, February, March, I would still like to see that to be our meeting dates and not necessarily January, February, March, because that would give you the latest information rather than my telling you about it later on. I understand, you know, conventionally reports come out on the actual month, but you know, just because that's convention, it doesn't mean that we have to follow that. But if it were instead of January, February, March, it was the actual meeting dates, then the numbers would be more accurate. Anybody have any comments on that?
Are you using 4 dates per month or 5 dates per month?
No, just the date would be our meeting date.
Or the
instance-
board meeting date?
Yes, for instance, instead of March,
Saturday
it
when
would,
the board meets.
yes, it would be the board meeting date. And if that were the case I would show it under March as of today's date, and the total would be 38.
And then when the next one came out, those numbers in March might change because something would happen in the rest of March. Which is what makes
And
it
it
confusing.
would show up in the April report, correct?
Yeah. Which is why if it would be nice to, because once a month is complete, it should not change again. But that's why reports tend to come out on the month boundaries, because that.
Well, I agree that conventionally you do it by month, but you know, you have to think outside the box sometimes and understand what it is we want to have for information. We don't necessarily have to follow convention.
Joe has an observation.
So I think we discussed this at the prior meeting, and it was reached as a consensus that we would go with calendar months for many reasons. And it actually should make it easier on Will, because he'll have a couple weeks to get this information prepared. Okay, if we had a board meeting, say on the 1st of the month, it would be a problem, but we don't. We have it on the 2nd Saturday, and that gives him more opportunity to get this information prepared for the meeting. So it's to Will's advantage as well as all of ours to just go inside the box and not think outside it in this case.
It's whatever the board wants.
I agree with Joe's interpretation.
I think it's also, it makes it easier because once the numbers for a month have been recorded, they don't change.
They wouldn't change under the system I'm talking about. They would stay the
Yes.
same.
No, yes, they will, because if you tell us what happens, but in March up to the 2nd week, and someone does some action in the 3rd and 4th weeks, then the numbers for March have to change when we're in our April meeting, and you change the ones in March for any updates and produce new ones for April.
No, it would not change. The
It would have
numbers
to
would
be
just be
accurate.
what happens between the two meeting dates. That's all. Well, let's not
Okay, well,
belabor the point.
May I-
We'll stay with what we
may I-
have.
We have an odd difference of opinion.
Miriam would like to talk.
Yeah, I think what Will is saying is that he should put the date of the report. Instead of saying February, it should say February 11 on it. And then in March or whatever, yeah, it was probably 11 also. In March 11, and then April, whatever, 10 or whatever. And then he would see a whole month, but it would be a month from the second Saturday to the next second Saturday. That's what he's saying. And that's a little hard for the rest of us to get used to, but that's what he wants to do.
I'll do whatever the board wants.
I think the present format is fine. I'd just like the total at the bottom. That's my only recommendation.
Okay, it's just that at this point, you only know that we have 38 because I'm telling you that, not because it shows up on the report.
Will, it's okay. It's the same with the financial statements. Miriam doesn't do it to the date of the board meeting.
Financial reports are different from membership reports.
They don't have to be.
Let's move on.
Yes, do it as you will. Okay, moving forward.
Okay, excuse me.
Where are we?
Excuse me, when you said do it as Will wants, does that mean Will gets his way, or is Will going to do it at the end of the month?
I'll do it the way the board wants.
Which
And
is,
what is that? I haven't.
That's calendar months.
as of last meeting's discussion.
And before we move on this topic, not on that particular topic on membership, if Will would be willing to send me the same list he's sending Hank, or at least who the current active members are. I don't care about the ones dropped, just periodically, just so that we have an idea who is a member and who is not a member.
I'm going to send it to the entire board.
Thank you, Will.
Good idea. Okay, does that conclude the treasurer members? Yes, it does.
Yes.
No other business, any new business? I already asked for amendments to the agenda, so that precludes that. I would like to hear from the directors, starting with Ray Slater. Do you have any observation? Hearing none. Arlene Ray, do you have any contribution? I would, if directors at large would understand that they're about to be called on, if they would unmute themselves, I'd appreciate it. Jim Fregacci,
Nothing at this time.
thank you. Saul Schumer,
Tomorrow is the beginning of daylight savings time. Change your clocks, except unless you're in Hawaii, which you don't have to do it.
really noted, all right, and Alice King.
I just wanted to make a note that it was impressive. I don't know if anybody noticed it last week. That presentation was so good, but that was the highest number we've had. I think at one time there were 25 on. A couple dropped off as we went on, but that's a pretty good number. And that was all I had today.
And
All
that,
right, very good.
Ross.
Next meeting. Somebody said something?
yeah, the
Okay,
number from last week was, in my opinion, because Ross Malloy was the speaker.
That's true, but it was good.
all right, very good. Next meeting, April the 8th. And we are adjourned at, by my analog watch, 11:05. Thank you, and over to Will and Hank for the Q&A.
Before that, I see someone on Paul on an iPhone. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, Paul, and if you could tell us that, I'll put you on our list.
I believe Stan knows Paul.
Yeah,
Paul
Paul
Mount?
Mack, M-A-K.
Yeah, right. Paul Mack.
That's Paul Mack.
Oh, is that Paul Mack? Okay, sorry,
yeah.
Paul. I somehow didn't recognize you. Thank you. Okay, I believe we're on Q&A now.
That's
Anybody
right.
have any Q&A questions that need to be discussed?
Problems?
Jim,
What's the best cloud?
for storage or for what use?
Who had the question?
Jim Fagochi, he asked, what is the best cloud? And I think we need clarification on
Yeah, to do what?
cloud for what purpose?
I think his Zoom froze.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, I
we
can
can
speak
come,
of that for a moment until he comes back and clarifies. Everything is in the cloud if it's not on your computer. So that's where we need to have a little more more information. If it's for storage of data off of your computer, OneDrive or Dropbox, Google Drive, all of those will work. You just need to understand what the limitations are and what you have to pay for those sources. They'll all give you a certain amount for free, depending on, say, your Microsoft account, but then you have to pay for it after that. Is that what you're asking for, Jim?
What I'm asking is for photos. And can you move photos from one cloud storage to another cloud storage?
You do it through your computer generally. So if you can see both, just like you were going to copy between two memory sticks, if you can open up both locations on your computer, then you should be able to drag from one to the other. It does take a time to synchronize all of those. But in the Windows environment, I've been using primarily Google for photos because the amount of space that I have available through Google, and it had been free. I know they're starting to charge for it if you end up with too many photos. So it goes back again to how much do you need to save up there? But you could use iCloud on a Windows computer and store items there and pay Apple if you need to go beyond 5 gigabytes.
Is Windows photo storage free?
For all of the services have a free amount. 2 to 5 gigabytes is usually what they give you for free. After that, you have to have some form of subscription. If you have an Office 365 account, I think most of them now are giving you 1 to 2 terabytes worth of space free at OneDrive. If you go to Google, then you have 15 gigabytes that you can use for various, for whatever you've got. Photos used to be free, as many as you wanted to have, but I know they've gone in and changed that. But usually for $1 or $2 per month, you can get an inordinate amount of space. As long as you're saying I don't have more than, say, 200 gigabytes worth of data that I'm trying to upload. Do you know how much space you're trying to use, sir?
I have quite a few photos that could go back like to 2007.
How much space? It doesn't matter how the number, it matters the space. So you have to right click on the folder, say on photos, go down to properties, and it'll tell you how much space that is using.
Okay, I'll look further into it myself. Thank you.
May I ask Jim a question?
Sure.
What is your intent on the cloud? Is it just to back up what you have on your own computer? Is it to share those photos with other people or to share it with other devices you have so you have access to them from other devices?
It sounds like all of the above.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to share it to other individuals, then you need to kind of get an idea of what they can use. You can send links out from Google Drive and from the other ones to say, here, this information is available. If you're going to use iCloud, then they have to have an iCloud account that you can transfer information or give them access to that information.
I can transfer, some photos if I want to send them to an individual, but my wife and I both have separate computers, and it would be nice if we both had the same photos on both. Is that feasible?
Sure. So let's say you have a OneDrive account and you use the same Microsoft account for OneDrive, then you can synchronize the photos. And when you go to photos, it's going to be the photos that you have shared.
Can I speak to this for a second? Yeah, one of the things that you can do with Google accounts is you can take a Google photo account and basically make another account a quote partner account. That way they can have a look at what's in the other account without having to use your own space to look at those photos. And that way your wife could post something and you could see it on your account. You do it the other way. You could post something, she could see it on her account. It only gets stored once on the account that posted it, but it can be viewed from either place.
And what do you call that?
I think it's called a partner account. So you can do that. The other thing that I saw actually earlier this week, I saw a YouTube that sort of piqued my interest. Are you running out of Google Drive space? And he noted two things. One, especially with photos, if you are okay with slightly reduced quality, you can basically have them compressed on the Google Drive, and they'll take up between a half and a third of the space, so you can get things back. If you're still running out of stuff, what you can do is you can make a new Google account that you're going to use just for photos, put all your photos over in there, and then make your original account a partner of the new account. That way you can see all the photos that are in the new account from your original account and not use any of your original space.
Thank you.
On that same note, David, is that the same as sharing?
No, it's a way of, because sharing you can do explicitly with stuff. I think that's something different where you just declare another account a partner of you, and that basically gives them automatically all the viewing privileges. So it almost looks like it's in your account.
David, is this on Gmail?
This is mostly addressed to sharing photos on a Google Drive account. I don't know if that works with Gmail. That's another question. I just don't know.
So how do you set up this partner account?
I tell you what, if you want, I can try to find that YouTube video that I watched, and I'll send you a link for that.
Can you put that in the chat?
It would take me a couple minutes to find it right now, but I can, if they're interested, I can send that out to the board.
Okay, thank you. Pat?
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm kind of Googling it now, but I need to put my COVID-19 vaccination record on my Apple Wallet, and I thought you could do it right from the photo, but apparently you can't. So I'm wondering, does anybody know how to put that thing on the Apple Wallet? I know there's various places to put it on the iPhone, but I want it on in the wallet. Anybody know a quick way of doing it? I see there's a bunch of videos on doing this, that, and the other thing, but nothing directly to the wallet.
May I ask, Pat, what the significance of having it in the wallet is versus just a photo on the phone?
I think it'd be easier to find if it was in the wallet.
And if you just put a photo onto the desktop, that's what I do on my Android phone.
You put it on.
You can just put a file onto the desktop, whether it's a PDF or an image. You can just put it on the desktop.
This is on my phone. So when you say desktop, are you talking about an icon there with my
Yes.
on it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I can take a photo and put it on my desktop.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll.
Just like you can on the computer.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do for mine, because that, I have an app that I have my COVID information in and bring it up, but I have a photo of my wife's COVID card on my phone. So when they ask for that, when we're going to somewhere that requires it, then I just bring mine up and say, here it is. And they go, well, there's hers. And I click on the photo and says, there it is. And they can see what they need to see.
Okay, all right.
And I might just add, Pat, that in the state of California, if the state has a record of it, you can go to their site and you can download the image. You don't have to take a photo of your physical card. They will have a digital image of your COVID information.
Oh, okay, right. I think that's where I have that somewhere on the phone too. I just don't know where. So that's kind of like why I wanted to just put it on the wallet, or maybe the desktop would be doing the same. But we're going to be traveling, so that's why I want it somewhere close by.
Again, if it's on the desktop, it's on your phone.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so how do I do that then? Okay, let me see. Where's that photo at?
I would Google for that. How do I add photo to desktop? iPhone.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
You know, I wouldn't hesitate to call Apple and say, this is what I need to do. How would you suggest? They're very good on that kind of support.
Oh, right. Usually when I call them, I have a half a dozen things, but yeah, I could add that to the list. Okay.
So you already know how to get to them.
Oh, how to get to Apple? Oh, certainly. They're my favorite correspondents, shall we say.
I thought we were your favorite, Pat.
Well, you are too, but when you can't answer, and even when I'm in class and she can't answer, I've got to go to Apple, so I kind of wind up there periodically.
Pat, if you look in the chat, Sharon has posted a link of how to do what you're asking.
Okay. All right.
And I posted a link to that YouTube video on how to clear your storage in Google Drive. Excuse my mistyping, but I was listening and typing at the same time, and that often does not work well.
Okay, Sharon Beckus is on a Mac.
Yeah,
Sharon?
hi, thanks. Good morning, persons. I have, I follow YouTube and I have people that I follow. So I have 2 accounts now. I have the YouTube Premium, which I went to because I don't like all the commercials when I'm watching YouTube on my Apple TV. So I have YouTube Premium and I have my YouTube account. I don't know if I can merge them both. And the reason for that would be when I'm watching a YouTube on the TV and I want to put it to my watch later list, it's not interfacing with the standard account that I had begun with, which was not premium. Anybody use Apple or anybody use YouTube Premium?
Don't see anybody.
Got it. It's nice to be commercial free. So, and because I take classes at UCSD through the extension studies, I also qualify as a student. So I get YouTube Premium for half price. So
What do they charge for it?
I think it's $12 a month and I pay $6.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So it's worth it to watch all these things without all the bloody commercials every 2 seconds. So that's all. I just had a question of how I could maybe merge them.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I don't see any hands up.
Oh, just a comment to add to Sharon's, we're taking the classes through the San Diego Community College, and that you can get your discount through them as well. For anybody.
If you have an EDU address.
Yeah, well, we're going to have an EDU.
They are
address.
transitioning that now. I'm not sure how happy I am about that for me as a Mac user. I don't want Microsoft, but that's for another day. That's my own topic.
Well, that wouldn't require you not to have an EDU extension, would it? The fact that you're on Mac?
The school district is offering an email address through San Diego Continuing Education with an EDU at the end of your email address.
Yes.
So that is one of the qualifiers for most companies when they want to give you a student rate is what is your EDU address? And also generally you have to tell them, you have to show them something of how long you're enrolled for that semester or whatever, because they verify it yearly.
But that makes no difference whether you're Windows or Mac, does it?
No.
No, what I'm saying is I have a Mac and I don't want to get Microsoft.
You don't have to get Microsoft an .edu email address. You can point your current email client to that source and collect your email from that
That's okay.
source.
I think Willie knows what I'm talking. If Willie's on, he can jump in on to further explain it better than I can, I'm sure.
Well, I'm here and I have one.
Right. But you
But
had to add it, right?
Well, you don't really have to add it. You have a SDCCD edu address. You just have to activate it if you want to use it. But you
I
have that.
thought you had
address.
to enroll for it, Willie.
But you have to activate it. They've
Right.
set up the email account for you. It'd probably be sbeckus at .student.sdccd.edu. And if you wanted to use that, I mean, I tried sending, when we were doing all this last week, I tried sending my wife an email before she had her account. And when she got her account activated, the email was there. So there is an account in your name. They probably sent you an email on the 27th of February that
Oh
told
yeah,
you.
I have all the dialogue from
Right.
them.
Well,
I saved
the
that.
email,
Willie.
the email is in your name there. It's just in order to use it, you have to activate it. But the address is already reserved for you.
Maybe it's because their initial letter just mentioned something about Microsoft Outlook.
Well, yeah, it's an Outlook account, but you don't have to use it. It's just the account is there. It's just not active.
Well, but Willie, you don't even need to use Outlook to access an Outlook account. You can still use, what is it, CMAP or something like that. It's whatever protocol they use to get the email. You can configure most any email client to do that.
Oh, well, the two things about that, we went through the whole class last week with this thing, and you can activate it, but you have to keep it activated for, I guess, 3 semesters or something like that. Otherwise, you're defunct. And then the second thing about that was that you can have your EDU account and then have it forwarded to wherever it is you want to do it, and that's probably what I'll do too. And
Right.
then the third
I set
thing-
up my account, I activated it. You have to have 2-factor authentication to use it, which is a pain, but it works. And then I forwarded it to my Gmail. I never have to open it again.
Right.
But they
And
do offer, the one positive side of it is they do offer Office 365 for free and 1 terabyte of free storage, just being a student. And again, if you're not a continuous student for 3 semesters, then you get dropped and your data goes with it.
And the other thing about the discounts, I used to get the discounts and I never had an EDU address. I forgot exactly how we did it. We did have to prove that we were students and they accepted that, and I got 50% off of books and stuff like that, but haven't used it since, so.
Yeah, they're tightening up because I'm a Hulu member at half price. I'm an Apple at a half price. So there's different things that I am half price at, but they are tightening up.
And I think they used to accept various ways of showing you're a student. They've sort of are coalescing on, you have to have a .edu account for them to believe you're a student.
And proof of enrollment on some of them that I've had to prove.
Years ago, I had a card that was filled out I would take to the Microsoft store, get discounts.
Yeah, it's nice to have.
Okay, Stanley.
Where's Stanley?
He's muted.
And I see you're talking, but we can't hear you.
There.
Okay, if I may share a screen, I'll show you a procedure that I used.
For what?
For transferring photos that are on Google Photos. Let me see.
We can see your shared screen.
All right, I'm trying to get rid of this window here. All right, that's what I do to get them off Google Photos and onto a hard drive. I don't know if anybody's interested in doing that, but I have a terabyte external hard drive that I put everything that I want to save onto it, and this is how I move my Google Photos, which I like to work with under Google Photos. But then I want to save them for long term to be on my computer. And so I do this procedure. Is anybody interested in walking through that? Well, apparently not. That's okay.
I have a question, Stan. Do you upload these from your phone to Google
No,
Photos?
I use the Google Photos website from my computer. I would not try this from my phone.
Yeah, but
because
how do you get them into your Google Drive photos?
well, they're not on Google Drive, they're on Google Photos.
It's part of the Drive.
It's the same thing. It's the same set of storage.
Okay, well, maybe I'm going around Hogan's Goat in order to get there, and there's a better way, and I see Russ is champing at the bit.
Who is?
I
Russ,
think he meant you.
Russ,
No, but whatever works for you, and you've tested it, but I think that the comment was that you already have it in Google Drive, but you're not concerned about it being at Google or Google Drive. You want to have a physical copy onto a computer at your place, which is what you did. You put it on the external drive. The only strong recommendation I have on the external drives or on any hard disk is you really, really need to upgrade to solid state drives. The failure rate is dramatically lower. So if you were to say that external hard disk that has your backups on it and your history, if that was to die, what is your recovery for that? So I would have you start looking at, I use Tech Bargains as a website to look at, or look at Amazon and find it's an external USB solid state drive. They are less than $100 for, I think, up to 2 terabytes now, which is a lot of space. And the failure rate, again, is so much lower than it is for any spinning drives.
that's good to hear. I'll definitely consider that.
Yeah. And Ross, with USB drives, are they slower than if you're, have it plugged into your backplane as an M2 drive or something? Yeah.
There's a couple different flavors of USB. If you have a black connector inside the computer, then it's a USB 1. If it's a blue connector, it's a USB 2. If it's a blue connector, it's USB 3, which is dramatically faster. But you're limited on what's in the computer. Can you upgrade your computer to USB 3? Yeah, it gets kind of pricey. But if the computer is plugged in inside the computer, yes, the interface there is much, much faster. But for most of the time, for storage, for external, I don't think that you're going to see any issues with that.
If you can just let it,
thank you.
Yeah, if you let it run as a background process, it's not going to be a problem. If you're trying to do it as one chunk and you're watching the your computer spin, it'll take longer.
Boiled pot, yeah, water boils slowly when you watch it.
I guess my original comment was, if you're taking pictures from your phone and they're uploaded automatically to your Google Drive, you can download them straight from your phone to your hard drive or to a thumb drive. And it just saves a step of having to pick and choose. You plug it into your computer, it says, here's the drive you have. Your phone looks like a drive, and you just transfer files. Of course, with USB 2s and 1s and 3s, it depends the speed it'll be, but I've done it for 1,000 photos. It takes 15 or 20 minutes. And it's just all already a good. I just walk away.
So I believe that Stan was saying that they're already at Google. So you don't need to put your phone. No longer it needs to come into question. You just need to attach to the Google Drive in the computer where you want those copies to go to.
No, I agree. If they're already there, or if you transferred them up from a different medium, like
Right.
a phone, or I mean, a camera, or a.
Right.
I took a CD from 20 years ago and uploaded all my CD pictures
Sure.
to my Google Drive. I can't, but really, if you're thinking about editing them after the fact, it's a better file, I think, if you just have it straight from your phone. Once you go up to Google Drive, I'm not sure if you lose anything in the compression that they do. I don't know, Ross, maybe you can talk to.
It depends on whether you've allowed them to reduce the quality of the photo
Right.
to save you space. If you said, no, I want them to be full resolution, they're full resolution.
Right.
And they take more space.
And they take more space, yes. Depends on what you want to do. Are they just for you to look at, or do you want to use them for zooming and cropping and enhancing? Then yeah, you want it to be full resolution.
Where do you specify the resolution?
At Google in your settings for Google Drive.
Okay, thank you.
And often on your phone, you can tell it whether you want them to be sent up full resolution or compressed.
When you're doing an email, yes, but when you're doing it through the automatic sync, then it has to be set up before that. But yeah, when you go to send a photo, it may say that a 2 megabit file is too large, or may take a while for it to be sent, or 2 gigabyte file. And it just says, can we send it at a smaller resolution? And then again, if it's basic information, then it's no problem.
Yeah, just on that topic, I've been looking a bit in some of the image compression recognition or processes and stuff. And you can get something that to the eye is indistinguishable, and it's about 10% the size.
Yeah, there's a gentleman I work with who, as in his living, what he does is he enhances, modifies pictures. And he told us, oh, it's been 15 years ago or more, that with the quality of the photos that he's getting now, that he can go in and make edits and save them. And it's really, really hard to see that it's been edited or something's been added or removed in there. The quality, the amount of dots that we are using in the photos. I looked yesterday at phones and I saw a phone that had a 50 megapixel camera.
Wow.
So yeah, those are going to be large images that you're going to have to deal with. But again, if you're trying to say, I want to edit that and I've got a group photo, or I want to add somebody to that group photo, the more resolution, the better. So if there's not any other topics, I have
I've got
my
a
hand
quick
up.
question, if I may. I just looked at my photo app on my phone. And when I looked for resolution, it gave me a choice of storing them as JPEG or JPEG plus RAW. What's the difference between JPEG and RAW?
So I'm not really sure what the raw means, other than I do believe it gives you some additional editing capabilities, that you're getting information straight from the camera to that photo that allows you to do additional editing later, that if you didn't do it in RAW. So again, I would assume that the RAW capability is going to make that photo bigger.
That's
Do you know
correct.
what the extension would be if it were RAW rather than JPEG?
I don't know. If it says it's JPEG, it's a JPEG. But again, it depends on what quality of information you put into that to begin with. And something like Photoshop would be able to recognize and say, oh yeah, I see there's other additional information in here. We can let you change the aperture rate and change a lot of different things that you can't with a standard JPEG.
Stan, the RAW is, as Ross said, it's what the camera took directly. And it is vastly larger than a JPEG, which is typically compressed.
Although with JPEG format, you can adjust the amount of compression. You could actually set the
I
compression.
agree, David. I agree. I'm just saying in general, about 98% of the time, it's compressed.
Thank you all.
So in the chat window, in continuing on from last week's discussion, in another computer group I was in, and then they listed some websites and I put them in there. And at the bottom of the chat, there is for password cracking, and there's a link that you can open up there. And a third of the way down the page, it shows you the length of time it takes to crack passwords with the brute force, which means they just throw a computer at their password. And how long does it take to crack that password, depending on the number of characters, numbers, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, upper and lower numbers, all those different things on there. And if you have 6 characters, upper and lowercase only, it's instantaneous as far as how long it takes for them to crack the password. If you have 15 characters, you use uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and a special character, you're at 15 billion years. So it does go up. Now, how do they crack a password through the brute force? There's another link above to Kaspersky. And in there, they give you definitions that say, this is what they recommend for passwords. And they talk about brute force. Most of the guys that are breaking passwords, the bad guys, is they have special computers set up with high-end graphics cards in them. And those graphics cards have additional processors. They may add 300, 400, 500 additional processors to that computer. And that's specifically only to be used or specifically used for cracking passwords. So where you're saying I've got a computer that maybe has 8, 10, 16 processors now, if you have a gaming processor that has 2 video cards in it, each one of those gaming cards has another 200 processors on that card, then it's dramatically quicker to do the operations that they're talking about here that are cracking passwords.
And, it's the sort of thing like that sounds like the kind of computers they use for mining Bitcoin. And
Exactly.
I think that some people find that mining passwords is more lucrative.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying. So yeah, it's the same thing. And again, it's multiple processors doing the job that they needed to do. But again, it just was when you add all the different character sets in there, it goes from instantaneously to 2 million years on a 13 character password.
I'm curious as to how they test each guest, though.
So there's a
each
link
one
in
has
the-
to be tested, correct?
So if you go to the first link that I put up there at the Kaspersky, it gives the explanation of the test, how they break passwords. And this result is from what's called brute force. And in there, it gives an explanation saying brute force means they do these things. And yes, do they have to submit that password to a website to see if it opens up? Yes. So part of the recommendations is in there is if you're setting up a system or if you're trying to make sure if your account is safe at, say, a bank, you can go in there and find out that it says after X number of tries, it locks that account for so many minutes, hours, days, whatever their choice is on there. So that's a way to get around the brute force attempts. The other, as what was mentioned, is the 2-factor. So if you're coming from a new location and you're trying to get into somebody's Gmail account and you have 2-factor identification turned on, you have to have access to the telephone number, the cell phone number that was set up with. And if you don't get an account, get the password back to them, or excuse me, the key, then they won't let you in on that attempt.
And Ross, what you said just brings to mind a question is, are there places that if your account got locked out, they send you a notification that your account got locked out so that you know that if that wasn't you, that someone else was trying to access your account?
Yes and no. So it is all dependent upon that particular website. So when I go in and change a password, sometimes at places, I'll get an email, say from Apple saying, hey, someone changed your password in the account. Someone accessed it, and it sends me that. And it says, if it's you, then you don't have to, do anything. If it wasn't you, then you need to take additional steps, like maybe going in and changing your password to make sure that somebody isn't trying to break in on that account. But it's all dependent upon that particular place. But again, I would strongly recommend that you find out if they have a two-factor identification. That seems to be about the strongest way we have today to block people from getting in on the accounts. And a bank account is critical or important, but not so much as a stock account. A stock account, if they break in on a stock account and the money's transferred, it's gone. So you need to negotiate with your stock firm saying, how do I verify with you guys that I'm the one that's actually saying this is supposed to be a change to my account, a sale of something.
Yeah, I know whenever I'm doing anything explicit like that, it's me on the phone talking to a person that I know.
Sure. So again, you can do that depending on your brokerage to say, I do not accept any online selling through my account, or I have to talk to my broker Bill, and I have to give him my special password. If not, then
in my investment account, when I transfer any funds, it's already set up ahead of time to whom the transfer will be done. So no one can come in, and unless they come in and develop a new setup, a brand new transfer setup, they can't do that. So it's pretty secure.
well, but if they gain access to your account, then they can do anything they want, just like you. So trying to make sure that they don't get in is the question. So the two-factor identification is to stop people from getting access to your account. Or you can say that I'm not going to allow any access to my account from anything other than my zip code, my address. And if not, then they can't get in. But again,
Yeah.
that's between you and your broker.
Yeah, there are certain things you need two-factor, but there are other things you don't. Yeah, correct. All right. Any
So
other?
again, I'm hesitant. I just want to make sure clear that for stock accounts, once your money is transferred and it's gone offshore, there is no getting it back.
Yeah.
So you have to do all you can to make sure that your account isn't broken into. On a checking account with a bank, most of the banks have it, and credit card have it such that if it's not a business account and it's fraud, they will give you your money back, even if it's the bank themselves that was broken into.
Yeah. Okay, on a different subject, I had a question about Photoshop. A lot of things Photoshop does, really, you can't tell that it's a Photoshop job. Is there a way that you can tell if a photograph has been Photoshopped and modified?
I understand your question. I don't know. I know there are ways to go in and put watermarks, put security codes, all kinds of different things into a photo that you can't see with the naked eye, but can be used to go back and trace that back to saying, this is the computer, this is the time, this is the date, this is the person that's in that information that's encoded into that picture. But how to say, I'm going to look at this photo and assume that it has or has not been modified. From what I read, you have to assume that that photo is not an original, that it has been modified in some manner. And it's very difficult for us to know. So you have to it's like with the spoofing of people on videos, when it says you see somebody's voice, the mouth's moving and the things come out don't make sense. That's the deep fake. They can do that on photos the same way.
Yeah. That's actually probably a shallow fake, because the deep fake you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do with Photoshop nowadays. Okay, Joan Edwards.
Yes, I was wondering if they are hacking into e-transfers, Interact down there as they are in Canada.
Into what?
E-transfers.
E-transfers, I mean bank
Yeah,
transfers kind of thing?
Interact.
Again, the first part,
E-transfers or if I wanted to send money
oh,
to
yeah,
someone, I do it through an e-transfer. And
Yes.
lately, they've been warning people about it.
yep.
There's one thing that happened was that someone said that they sent the money, but before it moved very quickly, the other guy canceled it.
Yep, and does that happen? Yes. Have I worked on cases for that? Yes. What we've had problems with is where email accounts are being monitored between two companies. And they're watching for when money is going to be transferred. And then what they do is they intercede and send a email from the account that is supposed to be receiving the email and say, here's the banking information that I want you to use to send this transfer. And then the money is transferred. And then the other bank, as account happened, the supplier was supposed to get a large amount of money from one of the contractors that I work with. And they called up the contractor and said to the supplier and say, hey, we want, where's their items? We wanted to get them. And they said, well, you haven't paid your bill. And they go, yes, we did. And again, they were in that chain of emails. So two-factor on your email is just as important in that kind of an account as is on your banking if it involves money. And we've worked on 4 or 5 of them, and two-factor right now is the best tool we have to stop that.
Interesting.
How do people spoof an email account? Do they?
So in this case, it was not a spoof.
Okay.
They had been able to hack into the original email account.
So it came from the official proper email server.
Right. So when you go to send an email in the properties on that account that you put in there, you can say Will Wakely. And it doesn't matter what email address it's coming from. It still says Will Wakely. And in fact, that, Will and I have talked about that. I do get emails from you that are completely faked. Then how they do that is they find an email somewhere or an email listing and say, okay, we're going to send an email that's going to say from Will, but it really isn't. So you have to do your due diligence to say, wait a minute, why is he asking me to transfer money? Who is this? Pick up the phone and call and find out and said, Will, did you actually do this? But spoofing is easy to do. And when you go in and set up your email account, like in Outlook, it can say right on there, when you say, when I do respond to, it says, make this email address where it's coming from.
So they just use my name. That's the only thing they need.
That's only that's there. Yeah. And they're trying to get you to not pay attention and click on it and click on that link and say, I got one yesterday that said invoice. I don't get any invoices through that account. And it says, well, click on it here and we'll show you an HTML. Well, an HTML is like a website. They can do anything they want in that. So I just deleted it. I didn't care who it was from I just deleted it. And that's any of those. Don't click on the emails. Look at them a little bit first before you click. And if it doesn't make any sense, and if you say, I think it's from Bill, if it's from Mary, and then you get in touch with Mary, maybe through a phone call and said, did you send me that?
I've had that happen, not once, but I think twice with our pastors at our church, where they get hold of an email list, they send it out to a bunch of parishioners, and they're relying on your trust of this person.
That's right.
And a couple times I've forwarded that thing back to the pastor and say, be warned, tell people that someone's using your name. You're going to get something like this in my name. It's not me.
So again, it's kind of like when you pick up the telephone, you really don't know who's on the other end of that wire. So with an email, you just have to be careful. There are ways to send encrypted emails and verifications. None of them have seemed to have stuck and that where we use them all of the time, but there are ways to do that.
Yeah, I'm getting some invoice scams from Geek Squad, and I'm trying to think the other one, but those
Norton,
obviously,
McAfee,
yeah.
Yeah, Norton
all
McAfee,
of
they,
those.
yeah.
And they'll try to scare you, whatever they can do. Some of them I think have been semi-legitimate. So from Geek Squad, it actually is coming to me, it looks like from Geek Squad. And it maybe at some point you did have an account with Geek Squad and you've allowed it to lapse. But the marketing department, I think, has said, well, let's go back and see if we can entice these people to pay us. And I see where I end up with, when I look at some people's computers, I find 2 or 3 different antivirus programs on the computer. And they're saying, well, it's really slow. Yeah, because you got all this junk. You let it come in. No, I didn't. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
And on all of those accounts, like for antivirus or anything that you've signed up for on a subscription, I would recommend that you turn off the auto renewals. It's a pain when you have to come up to renewal and you have to pay attention when those emails come in to say, yes, my subscription for X, I want to pay for that. But too many times those things get bypassed and it's an automatic renewal and you find out a month later that you've been billed for, and now it's beyond the length of time that you can request the money back. So auto renewal is a scam in pretty much most of the cases.
Okay, Stan?
Nope.
Change the subject if you don't mind. In reference to Ross's comments last week, I got a PIP OLA, which is a finding device. Let me turn off just a minute. Anyway, I followed up on Ross's suggestion about finding keys, and I got a device called Chipola. It reminds me of a Mexican food dish, but it isn't. And a little tiny card here. It's about 2 or 3 millimeters thick that slides into your billfold.
Yep.
Because as I mentioned last week, I misplaced my billfold. And for about $35, I got 2 of these things, and 1 of these, and went online to download the software. And it was a bit of a challenge to get them to work, and then to make them activate. I'm trying to make it ring so you can hear. Try this one.
Stan, is there an app on your smartphone that you use with those devices?
Yep.
Yes.
And you can usually access it from the internet.
All right.
One question, how long do the batteries in those things last? I assume they have batteries.
Yes, the one that I use is from Tile, and the ones when they first came out 5-8 years ago, the batteries would last about a year and you had to buy another device.
Ouch.
Now, when you buy them, they have a little door that you can open up and then replace the 2023, 2025 battery, a little coin battery, and then it'll go for another year.
And then,
Apple has them too, and I don't know if the batteries are replaceable.
Yeah.
So it's something to look at on there. But you can use it on the computer to say, where's my devices? And then I've got like 4 of them. It'll say, well, here's where they are. And let's say the battery died. It'll say, well, the last time we were able to talk to it, it was here. And it gives you a pretty good map.
And my point of the smartphone app is that's normally, I would presume, how you would try to locate the thing those items are attached to. And Stan is pressing on them. And I'm thinking, if his keys are somewhere and he's looking for them, he doesn't have it to press on. He's
No, but-
going to use the app to make it make a sound.
Right.
Right.
So again, all I can speak to is the tile is the one that I have used and very successfully. And when I gave them out for Christmas presents, 8-10 years ago, all the 30-something, 20-something said that it saves them a half an hour every morning. They could find their phone or they could find their keys, but not finding both. This way, from the phone, you can ring the keys. From the keys, you can ring the phone. As long as the phone has got power to it, even if it's muted, it will then make noise.
My apologies. I'm still working on it. And I couldn't hear what was going on there. I was trying to turn off the alarm, but I finally turned it off. But anyway, aside from a few user interface problems and setup problems, I'm very pleased with it. It does show me on a map where my things are, and it even uses the navigation to tell me how to drive to get to where the device is. The accuracy is within 30 feet or so.
I'm Neil.
So yeah,
But
to me, they're very, very worthwhile devices for the low cost of, $30 or less to have it be able to find your device. I put one on the laptop bag that I had because I had a tendency of working at somebody's place, doing all my work, getting up and leaving, then finding out, well, where did I leave my laptop bag? I know I had it this morning. Here, it will tell me.
Just for my cell phone, I don't need one of those external devices. I just go to find my device on the computer and it will find my cell phone and ring it and shut it off and do all kinds of things. So, but I think that's just for the cell phone.
Well, it is, but that's the link that's in there. That's the active device. So what Stan had asked for was something that he could put into his wallet to find it. And for me, I needed to be able to put it into my laptop bag so I could find that. And I could do that straight from the internet by signing into the app or the app on my phone.
So, Will, if you happen to lose everything, find your phone first, and from your